And these are issues that certainly concern us on 3FM Sunrise, on 3FM 92. Good morning to you both. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Great to have both of you on this morning. I hope it's not too late to wish you both a happy New Year.
Thank you so much.
Now, Fred, I'll come to you first on this one. And the last time we spoke was sometime, actually top of the year last year, if I'm not mistaken. And at the time, we were talking about staying healthy for the year 2023. And you mentioned that Gobe is a game changer. In fact, after that conversation, we set up our Gobe Fest, which was a huge success. And the second edition is coming. You said at that time, I remember you saying that Gobe was useful for men's potency. Are the stats still the same?
Exactly. And unfortunately, that has resulted in Gobe making its way into our inflation game basket for the first time in the history of this country.
Fred, we have to send you a bill. This was all you're doing. You've made the price of Gobe shoot up. In any case.
So it's all well and good. It also means that the message has gone down well, and it means that a lot of people are consuming Gobe, which is all good. It means that the nation will be healthier.
Absolutely. And we should also see the birth rate go up this year, all thanks to Fred's messaging about the usefulness and potency of Gobe. But the year is 2024, and recent statistics indicate that all is not well in the land. We're getting fatter, heavier, and more unhealthy, especially Ghanaian women. 50% of us are said to be obese. That's a very alarming statistic. Fred, from where you sit, is that an accurate reflection? That means 1 in 2 Ghanaian women is way heavier than they should be. Is that really what's going on?
For that, I'm unable to say, but I trust the Ghana Statistical Service because they do a scientific research, and their statements are not based on estimations. Their statements are based on factual statistics, based on data they collect on the ground. So if they are saying that based on the data they collected, 50% of Ghanaians are obese, then we have to take their words for it, because for them, they do not just speak in a vacuum. They always base their statements on facts, and these are verifiable facts. So if anyone doubts, it's a matter of contacting the Ghana Statistical Service to get the data and interrogate the data. So from where I speak, I do not have any reason to doubt the figures as put up by the Ghana Statistical Service.
Now, if we say somebody is obese, what does that mean?
Okay, so from a professional point of view, if someone is obese, it means that the person's body mass index is above 30.
The body mass index is above what, 30?
30.
Okay, 30. Okay.
Yes. So the body mass index is an indicator of the person's weight as a ratio or with respect to the person's height. So the simple way of calculating the body mass index is to take your weight in kilograms. So you take your weight in kilograms.
Okay.
And you measure your height in meters.
Mm-hmm.
So you square the height. So for instance, I am 1.92 meters tall.
Okay.
So I'm pretty tall.
Okay.
So you square the height in meters. The value you get, you put it aside. Then you take your weight in kilograms.
Mm-hmm.
Then you now divide that with your height that you have squared. The value that you get,
mm-hmm.
there's a chart. So the BMI chart,
okay,
we have values from 18.5 to from values from 18.5 or less. So from 18.5 or less, if your calculation is less than 18.5, means that you are underweight. Now, if your calculation is between 18.5 and 25 or less, so you are from 25 downwards to 18.5, it means that your BMI shows that you are healthy. And if you do your calculation and the value you get is from 25 and less than 30, it means that you are overweight. But then if your value is above 30, then you are obese.
Okay, so that's a simple calculation that we can all use this morning to determine what category we fall into.
Yes. So if you are obese calculations are also classified into class 1, class 2, and class 3. The class 1 obesity is from 30 to less than 35. If your value is from 30 and is less than 35, then you are between the class 1 obesity. If it's from 35 and less than 40, then you are in class 2 obesity. And if it's from 40 and above, then you are in class 3, which we call the very severe obesity or morbid obesity. And that one is pretty dangerous. So for Ghana Statistical Service saying that 50% of Ghanaian women are obese, it presupposes that the BMI of those 50% of Ghanaian women is above 30.
What do you think accounts for this difference in men and women? So the men are also catching up to that stat, but there are, it seems, more heavier women than there are men. What is accounting for this?
Okay. I'm unable to readily tell scientifically what accounts for that. But if I would hazard a guess, I would say because men to be more generally active than women. So generally, men tend to be more active. You find that on the weekends, you find men playing football, you find men playing basketball, you find men doing more sporting activities compared with women. Then also generally the job description of men are usually more labor intensive than that of women. So in the construction industry, for instance, you find a lot more men than you find women. And if you go to the gym, you find a lot more men than you find women. So if I'm hazarding a guess, I would say perhaps because men engage in more activity than women, that probably is the cause. And if we want to be very scientific, then we may have to look at the data from the Ghana Statistical Service, which may point out to the reasons why the women are in the lead in terms of the obesity figures. Because when it comes to obesity, a number of factors are responsible. In fact, in some cases, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. For instance, if your case is as a result of genetics, then there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. If your parents are obese, it means that you have the obesity in your genes, you have inherited that, and no amount of exercise or fasting would make you slim because you are genetically prone to being obese. So for those who are genetically predisposed, there's not much that can be done except to engage in healthier lifestyles so that the other diseases or lifestyle diseases that come with being obese can be minimized. So genetics is a factor. Another factor which causes people to be obese is calorie intake. So that has to do with food.
Right.
So if you take in more calories than you burn, then the body would accumulate the excess calories, and that would lead to you becoming obese. So the balance between the calorie you take and the calorie you burn is very important. And sometimes people make the mistake by thinking that when it comes to caloric intake, it's just about eating heavy. In fact, some people do not eat heavy, but they take in a lot of calories in the form of fluid.
So there's the fizzy drinks, the sugary drinks.
Exactly. These are loaded with calories. And all that would accumulate in your system. If your body is not able to burn them, then the excess will now accumulate into fat, making you overweight, and then you graduate from being overweight to being obese.
Okay, Fred, let's take a quick listen then to what the Ghana Statistical Service had to say about our waistlines, and then I'll move on to Jennifer. But by the end of this conversation, we're attempting to ensure that we have some practical tips and tricks to forge ahead in the year 2024 so we can keep our waistlines trim and stay healthy. Take a listen to what the GSS had to say.
To 2022, a 19-year period, or close to 2 decades. In 2003, we recorded 44.6% of our women that were anemic, 15 to 49 years. Over this 2-decade period, 19-year period, we've made gains of only 3.5 percentage points, dropping from 44.6 to 41.1 in 2022. I did mention earlier on the consumption of unhealthy food and what we see with obesity among adults. The first story is that half of our women are either overweight or obese, specifically more than a fifth of them being obese, 22%, and 28% of them being overweight within a BMI of 25 and 29. The situation between females and males is about 2 times, as we do record 20.7% of males that are either overweight or obese relative to half, that is the 50.2% of females that are either overweight or obese. In the context of males, we have 3.9% of them that are obese and 16.8% of them that are overweight. This varies and increases with age, our lifestyles, and health outcomes. Prevalence of obesity across our 16 administrative regions. Across our 16 administrative regions, we're recording Greater Accra 35.6%, either obese or overweight, and also Greater Accra region 61.3%. Later on, you're going to see the slide on poverty or wealth status and education on these health outcomes. Again, stark regional variations are observed, and one of the major observations here across the 16 administration regions are the wealth status of these 16 administrative regions, with a few exceptions like Volta. As you see Greater Accra on top, and you see 3 of the 5 regions in the north at the bottom, specifically Northern, Upper East, and Northeast. Reproductive, maternal, and child health.
Change in men, which men have been a lot more resistant to increasing overweight, and now we are seeing that men have also become elastic.
Men have also become elastic. Fred, so you had the stats there for yourself, and I think that ties in with the response you gave as to maybe why we're seeing a lot more of our women heavier than the men. Your thoughts on that? And again, I'll come to Jennifer. We'll talk about her weight loss journey as well.
All right. So from what the Ghana Statistical Service has put out, it is not 50% of the women who are obese. The 50% is a combination of the range that are obese and those that are overweight.
Okay.
So from the statistics, 28% are overweight and 22% are obese.
Okay.
So the percentage that is obese is actually 22%, not 50%.
Okay.
So if we say 50% are obese, that is quite alarming.
Definitely.
So it's actually 22% that is obese, and then 28% is overweight.
Okay, so at least that makes things a little bit better, but still a number that has been rising over the years and a cause for concern. If almost a quarter of the population is obese, that is a warning signal that something isn't going right. But Jennifer is also with us here on Zoom. Jennifer, good morning to you. You've lost a significant amount of weight. Tell us about your weight loss journey. How much weight have you lost?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jennifer, and starting weight loss, I didn't use a scale. I always use my dress because I was always scared of the scale.
You were scared of what you would see.
Yes. So I only use my dress to check my weight. And so I was a size 16 and I'm a size 10 now.
Okay, so you've dropped a few dress sizes, about 3 or 4 dress sizes down. What was your motivation to shed this weight?
I was just tired of looking the way I was looking. I'm the only girl among 3 boys, so they were always teasing me, telling me the truth. I actually thought they were hating me, but right now I feel like they actually did their best, and I'm so proud of myself.
And what did you do in order to shed the weight? Was it food only, exercise only, or a combination?
All right. I started with intermittent fasting, and I was very careful of what I take into my body. I stopped taking oily food.
Okay, Jennifer, we'll let you reposition yourself because I think the connection is not as stable.
Drinks,
okay, you're back.
Fresh
Okay, Jennifer,
sugar,
reposition for us, please. We're not getting you too clearly. The network is not too good. Fred, let me come to you very quickly as Jennifer repositions and gets the internet a bit more stable. Now, what dietary adjustments would you recommend for individuals who are looking this year to ensure that they keep themselves trim or at least bring the weight down?
Okay. So for dietary recommendations, I always say that there is no one size fits all. It has to do with the mathematics of how much energy you are burning and how much of that you are replacing in terms of your diet. So generally, if you are someone who has a sedentary lifestyle, so for instance, you drive your car to work and you sit behind your computer in your desk for all the period, then you have some 1 hour break. Then after the break, you come back to sit beside your desk. Then you close, you sit in traffic 3 hours to your house, and you get home, you eat your supper, and you sleep. You are not burning a lot of calories. So for such a person, you shouldn't be eating high energy dense or high caloric dense food. Such a person should be eating food that is light and will be easily broken down by the body, because throughout your day you are in a sitting position, and the very few times you are burning some level of calories when maybe you are getting up to use the washroom or you are getting up to go for your 1 hour break. So it would be dangerous for me to just put out that eat A, eat B in order to gain weight or lose, because our activities are different, our energy outputs are different. So you look at your energy outputs, you look at your lifestyle, the kind of work you do, the kind of energy you burn, and you look at your current diet, what you are currently on, that even with that you are gaining weight, and then based on that you do modifications. So that is why before I plan a diet for someone, for instance, one of the basics I do is to do a dietary recall, where you would have to recall what you normally take, either 3 days or 1 week. And I have an idea of what your food preferences are. And I have an idea of what quantity of food you consume on a daily. And based on that, modifications and adjustments can be made. The advantage of that also is that when those modifications are being made, they take into consideration what you currently take, so that compliance can be easy. So if you are someone who you already take healthy food items, just that the problem is the quantity, then the quantity will be adjusted for you. If you are someone that based on the recall, we realize that you have a lot of unhealthy food items, would adjust them, introduce healthy food items that are similar in taste to what you currently consume, so that compliance can be easy. Otherwise, you go and plant diet for someone and introduce food items that, first of all, he cannot even get in his community, or he cannot afford, or the taste is totally different, the texture is totally different from what he's currently used to. He would not comply. And,
that's right.
The results you intend to achieve will not happen. So it is difficult giving blanket recommendations on what people should consume in order to lose weight. What the blanket ones that can be given is what to avoid.
Okay.
So generally, the things to avoid are the highly processed foods. And this I keep talking about it over and over, the highly processed food, especially the highly processed carbohydrates. So things that are made from highly processed foods, like the flies, so your biscuits that do not have roughage. So if you want to consume biscuits, target the ones that have roughage, the ones that are made from whole grains. So the highly processed foods, you avoid them. Foods that are high in sugar. And with sugar, sometimes because people are avoiding sugar, they tend to go for other sweetness. And that can also be dangerous, because some of the sweetness are also not healthy. So you rather have to use natural sweetness. So for instance, if you are not adding sugar to your cocoa, for instance, you can add dates or raisins. And these are natural sweeteners that are healthy in themselves. And instead of adding substitutes that would not be healthy for you. Then alcohol. Alcohol has what we call empty calories. It has a lot of calories, even though those calories are empty. They also contribute to your caloric intake. And so that is why it is common to find people who drink a lot of alcohol developing high waistlines and pot belly. So alcohol is something to avoid if you intend to lose weight. And then sleep deprivation can also result in hormonal imbalances and result in weight gain. So you need to have enough sleep, rest well enough, and that would help. There are some conditions, some medical conditions that also result in hormonal imbalances that causes unexplained weight gain. So people need to also undergo regular checkups. These days, we recommend that the basics. So, for instance, know your blood pressure. And this is something that these days almost all pharmacies are able to conduct basic screening. So, walk into a pharmacy, or if you can afford, buy the device yourself, so that once every time you check your blood pressure to know that you are within the normal range. Because these are usually indicators. Those who gain weight or those who become overweight and subsequently become obese, most of the time, your body would start informing you through things like your blood pressure, through things like your sugar level. And these are early indicators that the body will start informing you. Unfortunately, they are asymptomatic. They don't show symptoms. So until you screen, you may not even know that your blood sugar levels are going high. You may not know that your blood pressure is going high. So the basic screening, the blood sugar, blood pressure, walk into a pharmacy, get those things done. Walk into the hospital, get those things done. Simple things like your lipid profile. Make sure you check them once in a while to know whether you have everything under control or not. So basic screening is also important.
Now, how can cultural influences impact our eating habits, and what strategies can people employ to make healthier choices within that cultural context? So if, for example, every time that you go home, your mom makes you, fufu with, some very serious, heavy red meat, or, there are other things that, culturally we indulge in that isn't too good for our health. What do you have to say about that?
It's a delicate balance, because even in terms of diet planning, we allow for cheat days where you are allowed once in a while to indulge, where you can have your ice cream, you can have your pizzas, you can all the things.
What they call cheats, your cheat meal, if you will.
Yes. So for those cultural infusions you're talking about, for instance, since they are not on the regular, if it's once in a while, it is allowed, so that you do not become a cultural where everyone will think that, just because you want to lose weight, you are totally abandoning the culture. So if it's something maybe on an occasion, there's a festival, and those meals are served, no big deal. Go all for it and enjoy, have fun, and be part of the culture. But when it is becoming a habit, it is consistent, that is where you need to cut out those unhealthy food items and minimize them, at least to be able to be healthy.
Now, Jennifer is back on Zoom. You were talking about some of the tools you use to shed the weight, and you talked about intermittent fasting and also watching your diet carefully. For the uninitiated, when you talk about intermittent fasting, what exactly is that?
So it's a type of fasting whereby you have eating windows. So if I stop eating at 6 p.m., the next morning I should break my fast around 12 p.m. And if I have my food and then have my fruit at the end of the day after 6, I'm not supposed to eat till the next morning. So that's how the fasting is. And then they have an app on Apple Store, Zero app. So That's what has helped so far too.
I see. Interestingly, I do know the app that you're talking about. I've been using that app since 2019. So it's a tool that I've used, intermittent fasting, where you have a specific window of eating, as Jennifer said, and a longer fasting time. So, for example, if you stop eating at, let's say, 8 p.m. and you are doing a 16 window fast, which I think a lot of fasting experts say is the window, then your next eating time would be, let's say you end at 6 p.m., your next eating window would be at 10 a.m. the next morning. But there's a specific science to that. And if you're watching us on Facebook, you'll see some of Jennifer's before and after. So she's putting her money where her mouth is. She's lived it. She's walked the walk and talked the talk. Not like some of us who go on a diet every single Monday. By Friday, we have abandoned that idea to slim down our waistlines. So Jennifer, you say intermittent fasting and watching your food. In particular with the diet, what are some of the food items that you cut out?
Okay, so I cut out bread, banku.
You cut out bread, banku, kenke. Jennifer, this is where the call ends. I think this is where we have to bid you farewell, because these are some of our staples. And, Fred, let me bring Fred in very quickly before you give us a whole list of our favorites. Fred, are these foods to be demonized, or is it an issue of quantity? Because Jennifer is saying something that is alarming me. She said bread, kenke, banku. These are my top 3 favorites. I had to stop her.
Yeah. So if you cannot do without bread, go for the wheat bread, which is made from the whole grain sweet.
Okay.
You have the roughage in. Yes. The white bread is usually not advisable because, as I mentioned, the highly processed carbohydrates are a problem. And flour is a highly processed carbohydrate. And flour is used to make bread. Then the sugar that you should avoid is also added to bread. Butter is added to bread. So all the things we are saying to avoid are all in there. So if you cannot do without the bread, go in for a healthier option, which is the brown bread.
Okay, Jennifer, you're forgiven. So, Jennifer, I'll come back to you. What are some of the other items that you cut out? Because, like you mentioned, banku, kenke, and bread, these are all things that can significantly impact our waistlines, especially if not taken in moderation. So, what are the other things? What about your fat intake? Was that something that you considered, Jennifer? Okay, I think we might have seen Jennifer drop off. But once she gets back on the line, we'll be getting some more practical tips from her. We'll talk about exercise as well, because that was an important component for her in dropping about 3 to 4 dress sizes. Now, Fred, this one is a big one because we spend a lot of time at work. Maybe before you started working in a particular establishment, you didn't really used to eat a lot of pork. Now, all of a sudden, twice a week or every Friday, boys organize pork and all types of drinks as well, the sugary ones that you mentioned, the alcoholic beverages. How impactful is the workplace on our waistline? And how can we spot some of these habits that, tend to keep us heavier or keep us fatter?
The workplace significantly influences our weight gain and our weight loss. So, for instance, the scenario I gave about the person who drives to work, sits behind the desk, and then goes for just 1 hour break, then closes, sits in traffic for another 3 hours, gets home, he or she is tired, eats supper, and is asleep. That is something that is influenced by the work, and the only time such a person would have to engage in some physical activity will probably be the weekend. But the weekend will be very packed because either he has a lot of laundry to do, he has a lot of family engagements, he has a lot of weddings to attend, all those other activities are pulling up on the person. So at the end of the day, the cycle continues where the person becomes sedentary. The other thing is what you mentioned about habits, like going out to the boys, drinking and eating the pork and all that.
I cut out.
You need to be deliberate, even the meat you are eating. So, in eating the pork, you can find that some are lean meat, like meat
Okay.
proper,
Okay.
and others are just fat in. So whilst you are eating, be deliberate about what you pick and what not to pick. So instead of making yourself an outcast where everyone is eating and you say, I would not eat. For me, what I'll do is I'll eat, but I'll be very deliberate about what I pick. So that I'm not picking the skin, I'm not picking the fat, but I'm picking the lean meat, and I'm not picking a lot. Eat a few and you're fine. With the drinking, you take one bottle and you're fine. You don't have to try to impress anybody by drinking 3-4 bottles and accumulating a lot of calories for yourself. Then instead of taking the elevator at work, take the stairs. When you're on break, take the stairs and try to walk briskly, and through that you are burning a lot.
So Freddie, talk about physical activity. Let me bring Jennifer in very quickly. Jennifer, what was your activity like?
Compared to someone who
you're back.
Then most of the time, some of things deliberately and replace your coffee with water, and that will be healthy. So.
Okay, Fred, whilst you reposition yourself.
Some of these things, you cannot start out lose weight. So you would do the work, but you make sure that you incorporate some habits like taking the stairs, like drinking a lot of, instead of sitting, you can stand while typing so that your blood circulation is better. And so those are a few changes you can incorporate.
All right, let me bring in Jennifer at this point to talk about some of the physical activity that she indulged in to lose weight. Jennifer, what did you do as far as exercise when you were embarking on your weight loss journey? Okay, we'll attempt to get both parties situated on the Zoom network. By time check, it is some 9 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 a.m. Okay, Jennifer is back on the line. Yes, let's hear from you. What were some of your exercises that you did to lose the weight?
So I started by going to the gym, but then it got to a time I didn't have time. So I just made sure I always walk 10,000 steps a day.
Okay.
I got a watch that can help me count my steps. So I'm always moving around, walking around, using the stairs. Yeah, that's what helped me so far. 10,000 steps. Walking is a very good exercise for weight loss.
Some people think that if you want to lose weight, then, you have to be doing very vigorous exercise. But you say even for just the walking, 10,000 steps a day was enough to keep your weight down?
Yes, please. 10,000 steps a day.
And then when you decided to intensify the workouts, what did you end up doing? You said you signed up for the gym. What are some of the activities that you participated in?
Okay, Karen, for now, when I started the weight loss, I wasn't really going to the gym. But for now, I want to maintain and get my body toned. And so I started the gym recently, and I'm trying to carry metals.
You want to join Ghana's Most Strongest. We have the female edition, so I think we'll enroll Jennifer in there. She's carrying metals these days. But Fred, I want to rope in our parents as well, because we're also seeing our younger generations get bigger and bigger. What advice do you have for parents in navigating the challenge of promoting healthy eating habits for their children?
Childhood obesity is a big deal. It's a big deal because unfortunately, when we see chubby kids, like we are happy. Oh, what a nice chubby kid! But then, research has shown that children who are obese tend to be predisposed to being obese also when they grow. So, children who suffer from childhood obesity are also at a higher risk of developing cardiovascular diseases when they grow up. So it is good that from childhood level, we monitor the weight of kids and ensure that they eat healthy. We tend to overindulge our kids where they feed on a lot of sugars. So they want coffee, they get. They want this, they get. They want, and it's not healthy. It's not even healthy for their gums and their teeth. Because mind you, once they change their mouth teeth, their permanent teeth is what they go with for life. And too much sugar can damage the teeth. And if the permanent teeth of these children are damaged, then there's no replacement unless they put special one. So for the overall well-being of the child, it's important that the parents are concerned and not think that where they have chubby kids, then it means that they're taking good care of the children.
Now, Fred, we only have about 5 minutes to go, but this one actually came, this question came up a few times when we advertised this segment about nutrition and keeping our weights down. For some of our gentlemen who tune in and listen, they wanted to talk about or find out about the impact a healthy weight has on performance. You know, they were casting their mind back to last year when we talked about Gobe and its many benefits, but let's connect the two, a healthy weight and a fruitful sex life. What is the connection?
I think we might need a full section for this.
I think we will have a full session for this because, Fred, I think we definitely need a part 2 and have you in studio. But to draw the connection for me there, a healthy weight and a thriving sex life.
There is a direct correlation, actually. There is a direct correlation because all the foods that are culpable for making you obese, all those foods also are culpable for even reducing your libido, and they are culpable for reducing your sex drive. And it is because of this that the sale of aphrodisiacs seems to be on the rise.
That's right.
Because a lot of men are not eating healthy, they are suffering in that department, and they are looking for alternatives in these aphrodisiacs. But then we all know the challenges that are associated with using these unprescribed concoctions, and that is resulting in the rise in kidney problems and all that. So there's a direct correlation between weight gain and performance. And even in terms of size, there's a direct correlation between those with higher waistline and those who are endowed.
Really?
So this is something that we need a full session to be able to dissect.
Well, Fred, as you have committed to that session, I am going to make it happen. As soon as I pose that question, I'm getting a lot of reactions and comments and some very specific questions that we simply don't have time to answer today. We have to go in 2 minutes. But Jennifer, just off the back of what Fred is saying, I'm guessing then things have improved in that side of life. I think Jennifer is pleading the fifth on this one. Jennifer, are you still with us? I think Jennifer says I have to see her in chambers for this particular question, but it's only some 2 minutes. Yes, Jennifer, you're back. Have you seen an improvement in that side of life? Okay. With that big smile, I'm inclined to say that it's been a fruitful venture going on this weight loss journey because it's improved things on that front. Jennifer said yes. Okay, Fred, it has been confirmed. It has been confirmed. There's a direct correlation between maintaining a healthy weight and a healthy sex life. Grace is standing by for the news at 10, and she can speak more about that. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. The fruits of her labor have manifested in the flesh. But Fred, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time this morning. This is a very big conversation, and hopefully next time we have you in studio, we can expand on these themes further. So many questions coming our way, but we don't have enough time to get into it. So do bookmark this, part 2 coming up soon, so we can keep our waistlines in check for the year 2024. Very grateful to you too.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
Have a great weekend, Fred and Jennifer. Every time Fred comes and talks nutrition, the themes expand even wider. And we have him to thank for Gobe Fest. Watch out for March. Gobe Fest 2.0 is back bigger and better. And this is how we end a very fruitful week.
If you feel say you be chicken, where your front and back be ticking, check your weight. Make a check your weight. Hey, Atian lege go go shami we check your weight. Make a check your weight.
And you can always count on DJ Abiam to give us great music that speaks to the issues. But thank you so much for joining us on what has been a very fruitful and exhilarating week right here on 3FM Sunrise. You've been my second co-host. I don't take your company for granted at all. Your thoughts matter, the beats resonate, and the inspiration lingers. Until Monday, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep spreading the positive vibes. My name is Helen Apia Ampofo. And on behalf of the very awesome team, do have a great weekend. We'll see you again on Monday.